were selling drugs. You were deep in addiction. You were suffering from depression, but something happened, something shifted.
It was drugs, it was partying. I didn't hold a full-time job until I was like 26. No career ambitions, was driven by Centrelink and selling drugs. The first thing that got me to take the next step was getting.
There's a framework that you now use to help people. Now you're helping other coaches with their growth, their business. We talked about the pillars of life. What's that framework?
The pillars of life is what I call physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social. And then the sixth pillar, which I've just recently added to it, is I did a transformation and I won the nationwide thing of that while I was doing my Cert 3 and 4. Because I'd won nationwide, it went all over the social media. The respect that you gain for being in shape, like it's a good and a bad thing. The good thing is you create way more opportunity, but then the bad side of it is
Jarrah Martin was a dropout, barely working on Centrelink, selling drugs, partying, and sliding deeper into addiction and depression. Bodybuilding pulled him out, or at least it gave him something to pull towards. What followed wasn't a clean redemption arc, it was 3 separate rock bottoms, a relationship that ended after 3 years of being cheated on, and the depression that came with it. A binge eating spiral after his first competition, 30 kilos gained in 3 months, 2 years of staying stuck in that, and then losing a $120,000 inheritance, money left by a deceased grandparent, to a Forex scam. Each time he found a way back, and each time the way back required him to face something he had actually been avoiding. That pattern became the philosophy. Jarrah doesn't believe in protecting people from pressure. He believes pressure is the mechanism. That comfort, when it's used as a hiding place, is just unhappiness moving slowly. Today, he runs 2 businesses, an online health and fitness coaching practice, and a company dedicated to coaching fitness coaches build businesses. His own life is proof of a concept, a person who came from nothing, sank as low as it actually gets, and rebuilt himself without a safety net or a head start. Now, in this episode, we get into what 3 rock bottoms actually teaches you, why Jarrah thinks just be happy as you are, and then that narrative is doing people harm, and what it really looks like to build a life from scratch when you've got no good reason to believe it's possible. This is the Freedom Formula Podcast. I'm your host, Shane DaCosta. Let's dive in. So you've built an incredible life, beautiful partner, great relationship. You've restored yourself. I've seen, the incredible property you built, the car that you drive, a Lamborghini. And on the surface, for anyone that would witness that, they would say, wow, he's got it all. But it didn't start there, did it?
No.
So walk us back to a moment where you were at your rock bottom, that moment where you'd sort of describe you being on Centrelink, you were selling drugs, you were deep in addiction, you were suffering from depression, but something happened, something shifted.
So there was a few rock bottoms. The first one was, I was in a town where it was just lots of crime, lots of drugs, lots of invisible ceiling that was just created in my head as to what life was about. And it was just this bubble that you don't know any better until you learn more. So the people that I was around, the things that I was learning had just created that to be my life. And that, when I say that, it was drugs, it was partying, I didn't hold a full-time job until I was like 26. So, and didn't have an inkling to, had no career ambitions, was driven by Centrelink and selling drugs. That was the things that were getting me by. So,
where did you grow up?
Little town in mid-North Coast, Nambucca Heads. So it's just south of Coffs Harbour. And it's not to say it's an amazing place. Just the people, and I guess the opportunities were not there for people. So they were led down the wrong paths, and you hang around. There's not many groups to sort of hang around. So you hang around the people that are in the town, and it just rubs off on you. So it was a lead up to me hitting a rock bottom of just having no ambitions and nothing to look to, not being able to look forwards in life. And the first rock bottom was a breakup. I'd only had one relationship since I left school, and in a town like that, you sort of do get a little bit comfortable with this is all I'm going to get, and you deal with the hits. And the whole period that I was with this person, I knew that I was getting cheated on the whole time. So it was my own fault. But at the end of that, when I finally got the evidence and we separated, I kept trying to fight for it. But anyway, I went through a stage where I just didn't leave my bed for like 5 days, stayed in my room, locked myself away, and that gave me a lot of time to just reflect on where I was going and where I'd come, and that I needed to pull my finger out and do something in my life. And I didn't instantly do it. I got my Cert 3 and 4 in fitness purely on a selfish basis. I just wanted to learn more about nutrition and exercise because I was already training at that point. And through learning that, I did a transformation, which was like an 8-week challenge for ASN supplement brand. And I won the nationwide thing of that while I was doing my Cert 3 and 4. And because I'd won nationwide, it went all over the social media. And I got offered so many jobs for PT because I'd got the transformation. It looked like I knew what I was doing. And I was also basically qualified by that point. So that led me into a career, I didn't realise, but a job, the first time I ever held a proper job that I enjoyed doing.
Fitness.
Which was fitness. And that was the thing that just made me, I guess, realise and understand that you can do something and be paid for it and not have to dread every day. So I'd go to work looking forward to what I was doing. I'd work with my clients, love what I was teaching and the people I was helping and the results that they were getting. And it just from there started to just build this fire that probably was, I knew I was destined for more, I just never knew what. I used to tell my mum I was going to be a millionaire since I was a little kid, didn't know how. And this started giving me that belief of what I was capable of, but also the potential of doing something that I actually love to do.
Sounds like you found purpose.
I found purpose, 100%.
Yeah.
And it just led to more purpose. Like it was more better people I was hanging around. The money was giving me more freedom with my life. I felt better within myself. I wasn't selling drugs to people. Like selling drugs is probably one of the feeling inside that you get for doing that. You're supporting someone else's habit. You're ruining someone else's life. And
what kind of feeling did you, if you sort of circle back, if we go back to that earlier in your journey where you were still at rock bottom and you're very much a product of your surroundings.
100%.
And we all are at some point until we overcome that environment and we choose to no longer be, we can be part of it but not be it.
Yeah,
right? But I think there was obviously a moment where you're going through that. I mean, what did that feel like?
I don't think I felt it at the time it was happening because, like I said before we started,
it can be survival mode too, right?
For sure. Like I had no choice. I had to. Like Centrelink pays you enough to sort of pay your petrol and it's not a lot. And the drugs were obviously getting me by. Like I wasn't a big time drug dealer. I was just selling enough to support my habit but get by as well. So that was a full-blown feeling of guilt the whole time I was doing that.
The way you were going about things, would you say very normal in terms of what you saw others at your age also doing? Was it quite consistent?
It depends. Like my immediate friends from school, they all had jobs. So because I didn't work, I was obviously hanging around the guys that weren't working as well. So it was like the crew that I was hanging around with that when it was 9 to 5, they were the guys that were doing what I was doing. After the 9 to 5 and on the weekends, I was hanging out with my mates. That's why I felt more guilty about it because I would turn up to a party or a dinner and hope that someone's going to shout me. And I knew that my friends or my mates at the time that they're still really good mates with, that they definitely looked down on that. I could feel it because it was just a low person, like a low, what's the word? Just felt like I was not living up to the people I was hanging around with standards. So
you stumble into fitness and it sounds like that gave you purpose. So that started to give you something to strive for, to work towards, and it started to shift your identity in some way. So then you obviously went further down the path with bodybuilding as a passion, but then it sort of grew into, as it usually does, like it kind of can morph from being a passion then into a job. So then you started down that path.
Yeah, so the bodybuilding was something that like I started training when I was 19. I was still doing all the things I just spoke about, but not seriously until I was about 26, and that's just after the breakup, went into the bodybuilding stuff, and it was because I'd won that transformation. So I'd got the leanest I'd ever been. I got so much attention and respect, which is another fucked up thing that, am I allowed to swear?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's the respect that you gain for being in shape, like it's a good and a bad thing.
What's good about it?
The good thing is you create way more opportunity. You have way more access to people. You aren't immediately judged on the person you probably are not. But then the bad side of it is a lot of people, especially with social media, are chasing this unattainable physique and life just to be noticed. So the reason I got into the training and stuff was because I was very bullied at school. I was small, like I was really short, really small, really skinny. And I started to feel that respect. And then the same thing happened when I did the transformation, which led me to go, like, I'm going to test myself in bodybuilding. And I also had good genetics. That was another part of it. And that led me to my first comp. So first comp was 26 or 27. INBA, did everything that you're told to do, the chicken, the broccoli, the rice, no sauces, no salts, like full restrictive approach. And did well, won the comp, got all the support and everything from everyone, felt amazing about it, and then just fell off a cliff after it because I had nothing more to work towards. There was a deadline, and I was so restrictive in that 16 weeks that as soon as I didn't have that deadline anymore, I started binge eating like you wouldn't believe. And I knew nothing about this. All I knew about was how to strip down fat and be in a deficit.
Well, they don't teach you how to then recalibrate, do they?
They don't. You don't even understand. There's a reverse dieting phase. There's your body gets used to the low calories and you just rattle your hormones. Everything's fucked by the end of the comp. And 3 months after that comp, I was 30 kilos up. So I went from being in the best shape of my life to being in the worst shape of my life in 3 months. And I was just out of control. I couldn't, every single time I'd touch a bit of chocolate or something that was off plan of what I didn't plan on having, it was all out the window for the rest of the day. And I'd just send it with the food.
It just shows how damaging something that is so extreme can actually be, because it sort of defies the principle of the middle ground.
100%.
If someone hasn't experienced that before, it's quite hard for them to actually understand sort of what you're referring to. But I would imagine most people have had a period of some sort of restriction. When you naturally tell yourself you cannot have something and for so long, when it's time to go back to, let's call it normality, that normality is very much warped.
100%.
And our ability to I suppose control that intense desire, it's really hard. I mean, it's equal to a drug addiction, cigarettes or anything really that gives you a buzz, right? Or a dopamine hit.
For sure. And it was relatable to the drug addiction. At that point, I was still, weed was the main thing back then. And it was so similar.
It's a similar issue we sort of tapped on a little earlier. Earlier in your life, you probably lacked direction and a sense of purpose. I know, again, from personal first-hand experience, what it feels like to go through a bodybuilding experience, and then your whole world is centered around a date. And as soon as you come off that stage, there's literally nothing that you've planned for beyond that event. And so it's like looking into an abyss, into a dark, you just
feel empty.
And there's literally nothing for you to aim for if you haven't had maybe the coaching or support in some way from a like a life planning perspective
Yep.
to give you something else. So it's kind of like you found yourself in another situation where once again you were lacking purpose beyond a date.
Yep. And I went back to my old ways because it's what I've known. Every time I've hit the emptiness feeling, I've just gone back to doing nothing with my life. I quit the job. I sat at home doing nothing.
After the event, you fell back into some old habits?
100%.
What did that look like?
I was still in my town, in the same town. I hadn't moved yet. So it was, my day was just filled with smoking weed and feeling sorry for myself and being depressed, hating my life, all the things that come with it. And that was for like 2 years that I couldn't get rid of the weight for 2 years. I didn't stop binge eating for 2 years. So, and
did you seek any type of support or any type of help through that?
I was too proud. Like I coached myself, and that was something that I was super proud of. And I was full natural. So it was at the state. I'm fortunate enough to have good genetics. So everyone was calling me out to say, you're not natural and blah, blah, blah. And then I coached myself, went to a natural comp, proved everyone wrong, had all this amazing support. And like everyone's like really talking me up and saying that I could be this champion. And then the complete opposite of it, just like in front of everyone. You can't hide being in that shape. I was way out of shape. So it was just like so absurd. Everyone could see me just breaking, and that was breaking me even more.
That would have led you again to some deep reflection and emotions. What were you feeling at that point?
That was like, at that point in my life was the worst that I'd ever been through, as far as the thoughts that I was getting in my head. And I was just shutting off from people. I didn't want to leave the house. I was confident that that was going to be it. Like there wasn't much more that was going to come of it. I was like, I'd felt this change of thinking that I'd turned a page, and then I just fell straight back into the place that I was. So it was like this little short-lived period of enjoying life and seeing what it was about to going back to that. It was just like straight away, I hadn't had enough of the good feeling part of the success to feel like I was going to get out of this next rock bottom. So I was like, this is it. I'm fucked. I'm back to where I am. And funnily enough, I've done 10 more comps since then and continued coaching myself through them. But
do you feel like you kept learning through the process, not necessarily about bodybuilding, but about yourself through that journey?
For sure. Like personal development was from 26. And I haven't stopped. Like I absolutely thrive on putting myself in those uncomfortable spots now, because I know how much good it delivers on the back end of it, because I've done it so many times now.
It is really, isn't it? So much of what holds people back. I mean, we talk about the glass ceiling. You know, what a lot of us will experience at some point is a glass ceiling. It's our own limiting beliefs, our own limitations that we place on ourselves. I mean, and it's usually because we label ourselves with a particular identity, and it could start from a very early point in our life.
Yep.
The challenging part is that so many people then never relabel themselves, never give themselves permission to be anything different or anything else.
Yep.
And therefore they stay that because they've labeled themselves as stupid or as not worthy, or however it is they define themselves and label themselves.
Yep.
You've got yourself to this second point of let's call it rock bottom again. And so at some point, I guess things start to change, and you find yourself starting to cast a new vision. Walk me through that.
Yeah, well, it was after I started after I went through the binge eating stuff, I learned a lot more about nutrition, and I'm like, there's no way that this is the only way. So I started to learn about calories and macros and flexible eating, and if it fits your macros and all that kind of stuff. Back then, it was this huge thing. And it started to give me more, I guess, confidence that I could do it again in a different way. And if I do it in a different way, then I'm not going to end up where I am after that first comp. So I was like, fuck, I'm going to put it all to the test, everything that I've learned in the last 2 years about myself. And I didn't announce it to anyone. I just did it silently. I just lost the weight again and got into really good shape. but I was still eating the foods that I enjoyed. I was still going out with friends. I was just keeping a close eye on my intake, my calories. And then I did another comp and fucking killed it. Like came up to the Gold Coast. And because I did a Gold Coast comp, I met all these other people in fitness that had success, that were into the same things as me, that had businesses, that just opened a door of, fuck, there's different to what I thought there was in the world. And I think I did that comp, which I came 4th out of 30 in, and then the next comp I got my pro card. 6 weeks before my pro debut, which was probably about 12 weeks after I got my pro card, moved up to the Gold Coast. My 30th birthday, I was like...
And that would have changed your world immediately.
Immediately, like instantly.
Yeah, so much of your struggles up until this point were very much a product of the environment you were in, which shaped a lot of your worldviews and your perception about yourself, and maybe even were somewhat part of why you were setting yourself glass ceilings and what you're experiencing. You're getting yourself into a new environment, so you're seeing people that are thriving not just in bodybuilding and fitness, but seem to be doing some good things in the realms of entrepreneurship. So how do you feel that actually then started to impact you in different ways?
Well, it was like I just backed myself into a corner, and I was doing the PT. I was working behind a bar. I had like 1 or 2 clients online. I'm like, this is like, if I could make it in this, I'm going to love my fucking life, because I'm going to do something that I'm helping people, that I'm helping them with something I'm passionate about. And I've got a story that's going to be able to help them as well. So I started to put things into place to, when I moved to the Gold Coast, to get the online space of coaching going. So I started to build a following. I still didn't have work ethic. I just thought you build a following, everyone comes to you, you get fucking paid. Moved to the Gold Coast, and the people I moved in with, they were pros in WBFF as well. And they had online coaching businesses. We all moved to the Gold Coast. None of us had lived here before. So I knew no one else, and I'd only met these guys once or twice. And COVID hit. And then when COVID hit, for some reason we had the hub of like, we had all this equipment for a gym in our garage. And we just ended up having all these people come around and train with us that were already in the Gold Coast, already well known, already in fitness, already had businesses. And it was just, I don't know if the world had planned this to happen, but it was like a fairy tale story that was just playing out. I'm like, fuck, I've moved to the Gold Coast. I'm now in with this group of fitness people that I used to follow on Instagram and look up to. And I'm now building a name for myself. I've got a bigger following, and still not grinding, like still not putting in the work, believing that it was just all going to play out. And then this is the third rock bottom. So I got an inheritance. My grandparents passed away, and they gave me 120K. I'd been trying everything up to this point, like little doses of everything. So a little bit of drop shipping, a little bit of Bitcoin, lost a bit of money in Bitcoin, day trading, Forex, all the shit that you try. I found a company that you invest into, they trade your money for you, and they promise a 3 to 5% return per month. So I'm like, no one's ever going to have 120K to do this. Like, I've got this fucking perfect opportunity. I'm going to put in 40K into this thing, see what happens. Put in 40K for 3 months consistently, got paid the 3 to 5% return. I'm like, imagine if I had the whole 120 in there. So I put the rest in there. And I sucked at money management. So this was my learning curve right there. I chucked 120K into something I didn't look into. This was a company that it was just on a piece of paper. I'd never researched who they are, who the bloke is that I'm talking to, whether it was because of COVID or not. But anyway, COVID hit, and my online coaching business obviously went to zero. He vanished for about 2 weeks, didn't reply to any of my messages, didn't answer my calls. Then he did reply, and he's like, mate, with what's going on in the world, we've lost the profit that we were making for you, but we'll get your capital back to you. I'm like, all right, sweet. So at that point, I'm like, sweet, there's nothing wrong. I'm like, I've got 120K, even though I've got no money coming in for business, I can stay in the Gold Coast. I'm gonna be able to survive because I've got that. That'll come back. And for 6 months that played out, that every 2 weeks he'd tell me, yep, you can't, it's coming back. Wouldn't hear from him again. Yep, it's coming back. Wouldn't hear from him again. So I just got into the most depressive state that I've ever been in, because A, I had no money. B, I was getting super excited to then thinking I've lost it all, to then super excited to, like, it was just this roller coaster of promise, ghost, promise, ghost, promise, ghost, to the point where I just had to cut him off. Whether I would have got it back, I don't know. But I just had to say, I can't keep going through thinking that I am and relying on that, because I'm doing nothing with my life now. Like, I'm just relying on it. So that period of my life was just like, I'm lucky to still be here. And then I met Courtney. So Courtney came along 6 months into that experience and was the thing that I needed. I just found something to look forward to. She was in the same group of friends and she showed me what work ethic was. Weird thing, because as a man, she was killing it in fitness coaching on her own, like grinding to the point where I was like, fuck, I don't know if I really want to be with someone who's just working all the time like this. I'm not able to see her, but I also felt like a piece of shit because I was a man.
So she raised the standard.
She raised the standard, but I was picturing myself being supported by her because of how much she was putting into it. I'm like, I'm not capable of that. I can't do that.
What made you feel like you weren't capable of that kind of grind, that kind of focus?
Because I never knew what hard work was. Like, I was the guy that would get a labouring job and quit within 2 days. That was just the identity I built myself with. Like, and like I said earlier, I was building a following purely because I thought that it was going to bring me clients without me doing anything. So
you're looking for the easy path.
I was looking for the easy path because I'd had an easy path up until then with bringing money in. Wouldn't say easy, but like as far as hard work goes, no hard work at all.
She was obviously an incredible influence on who you've become. Who else has been an influence? Would there be some guru? Is it a particular book, an author, someone that you started reading and studying that sort of helped you shift?
I wouldn't say I'm huge on networking. This is how I know you. Like, I just love conversations with people who are doing well in their life. And the best thing that happened to me was moving to the Gold Coast knowing no one, because I could reset myself, as no one knew who I was back then.
You were able to set a new identity.
I could create this whole new identity. Like, I was so reserved and shy and introverted in Nambucca, in where I used to live. And I portrayed that forever. Like, that's who I was. Everyone knew me as that. If I was at a party, I was in the corner, I was quiet. I'd fucking go bright red if someone had a conversation with me. Like, I couldn't get out of it because it was just the person that I was known to be. So moving up here, I was like, I'm going to go talk to strange people, like strangers. I'm going to start conversations instead of.
So you moved up on your own?
Moved up on my own. I knew no one.
You made a new friend network, and then so part of your personal development, was there anything specific that you invested into or did as a part of that mentorship or growth?
Down the track there was, but to start with, it was just surrounding myself with good people.
Just people. Yeah. Learning how to communicate.
Yeah, learning how to communicate.
Open, vulnerable.
Yep. 100%.
Interested in people, curious.
Yep. 100%. Knowing that knowing that uncomfortable is okay. I'm a bit awkward. I fucking can't always hold conversations, but compared to what I was, like tenfold. And it's got better and better and better. And because of that, I've just wanted to get to know, instead of me feeling like I'm not good enough to know people and be in the certain circles, I just throw myself in there now. Like, I'll reach out to anyone and everyone, and in hope that we just spark a connection. That's all I want. And then from that, I've met some amazing people. Like, there's people that are in this space of fitness. I'm in an identity shift at the moment, going from being the fitness guy to the business guy. But in the fitness space, I now know every successful online coach, I would say, in Australia, like friendly with them. And just seeing how much there's no competition, everyone's helping each other. There's clients for us all. Like that's definitely helped me with personal growth. But then I've also gone through a phase of learning a lot about breath work, a lot about the identity shift, subconscious affirmations, all that kind of stuff. And that's been because I've had to sort of, not just for myself, but for my clients, because I wanted to stand out. And a lot of what we do is around mindset, around the brain, like nutrition and exercise, surface level shit. We want to learn about how to do the deep stuff. So I had to immerse myself in it before I could teach it. And then that's another circle of people that I've met as well. I've met a lot of people who are in that space of personal development. So I've paid mentors for sure, but what I've learned has just been through meeting people, being in different circles and surrounding myself with good people.
This journey has taught you a lot, and there's a framework that you now use to help people, and first and foremost was in your health offer, which you've scaled. You've done multi-millions in that business in terms of revenue, and now you're pivoting into the B2B space. So now you're helping other coaches with their growth, their business.
Yeah.
We talked about the pillars of life. Yeah, what's that framework?
So it's the pillars of life is what I call physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and social. And then the sixth pillar, which I've just recently added to it, is financial.
So walk me through them in sequence.
So the physical, which is the first part that got me to the point of being able to have a bit of confidence in myself and gain a bit of respect. And that was the first thing that created me to take my first step, level 1. Level 2 was then the mental side of things, being able to have discipline, resilience, self-belief, and then the emotional off the back of that, which is obviously the same sort of things. Spiritual, which is learning about how I can literally talk to the person that I am, my subconscious beliefs. I've read a lot of books and heard a lot of podcasts about the subconscious, and it just blows my mind how the way that you think about things, and that, again, we go back to that invisible roof that we set ourselves, the ceiling. It's all based on the beliefs that we have from other people and our surroundings. So the way that you can change that is by recreating that ceiling through what you believe and what you talk to yourself. Like another thing that we talk about a lot in fitness with the clients that we have is self-talk. Like
it can be so damaging.
If you tell yourself you're this or that you can't do this, that's the answer. You
can usually trace back when people have I suppose struggles in their life and in different areas, you can usually trace it back to negative self-talk.
100%. And I was fully guilty of it as well. Like you don't realize it until you start learning about that kind of stuff, like subconscious and self-development. And
yeah, that negative self-talk is so damaging, right? Because we literally tear ourselves to shreds and then wonder why we don't have the confidence, the energy, the gusto, the strength to push beyond and actually start to make an impact, right? And there's so much out there in the world when particularly when you're starting to try to get into business and you're trying to build something and change your reality, it does require a significant amount of effort and belief, right? So if you lack the belief, you're literally your own brick wall.
Yeah.
It's like trying to run through a brick wall, but you keep putting another brick wall after that next brick wall because you keep reinforcing the negative self-talk. I just heard, sometimes you're scrolling through Instagram and there's a certain reel that will just kind of stick out.
Yeah.
And there was one of Bruce Lee. So obviously many years ago, black and white. And he was sitting at a table talking to two people and he was saying, never talk negative about yourself, not even in the slightest. And he was saying something like that. And I just thought, wow, like so powerful. Because
we don't want to be wrong. Like I think we're so held back by failing and being wrong. So that's why you can't, so many people are too scared to be like, I could do this because what if I'm wrong?
And that's interesting, right? Because if you talk negatively about yourself, then you're going to behave in ways that prove yourself right.
That's the subconscious. Like you are literally, without realizing it, doing all the actions that you're telling yourself that you are.
I learned about this concept of cognitive dissonance, which is that years ago, and it took me a while to get my head around it. But then there were situations where I started to really understand from a context what it actually meant, which is basically that. Like if you tell yourself and label yourself to be a certain type of person, like you sort of said, you know, I'm an introvert, I'm not good with people, then behaving in an opposite way produces cognitive dissonance because you told yourself you're like this, but you're doing the opposite. And so it's so interesting that, you know, there's the actual first battle to win is the internal one. And I know it sounds woo, and a lot of the stuff that maybe guys will and even women will hear, well, when they're trying to change their reality, is if they go into, let's say they go to an event at some sort of mastermind, or they get some sort of master, or actually like webinar, for example, masterclass, or they are starting to explore ways to change a reality, earn more money. Most of the first pillars in what you're going to learn is to start being aware of your negative self-talk.
100%.
Challenging those frames, tearing them down, building new ones. Reinforcing positive self-talk versus negative, which then starts to create a shift. And I can look back and think of just small examples in my journey. I remember because I didn't finish high school just due to my journey. And I had labeled myself to be not a reader. I remember actually physically saying to someone, they asked me, like, do you read? And the answer was, well, no, I don't read. But what actually changed my life was becoming a reader. And I remember after reading my first book, actually feeling a sense of, achievement, pride in something so small, because I'd always told myself, well, I'm not a reader. But when I finished that book, I felt immediately like I'd had almost a breath of like energy in a sense where I learned something that I was able to apply in my life straight away, and I was able to start seeing the
like
impact.
You proved yourself wrong.
I was starting to see the impact of it immediately. So that journey's led to you building an incredible business. Let's sort of have a bit of a focus on that. What are some of the things that you've learned about business through the journey in your first offer, the health offer?
Well, I was pretty quick in bringing people in, so delegation.
Did you have any previous? Would you had no previous leadership experience? Right?
Nah, none of it. I think the best thing that I ever did was like I was trying to make online coaching for 7 years before I didn't make more than $700 a week for 7 years after I started the business. Wasn't working hard in saying that, but the first thing that got me to take the next step was getting a mentor. So I got a guy that taught me how to do high ticket sales. As soon as I did that, I'm like, holy fuck.
So who mentored you in high ticket sales back then?
Chris Spearman. So he was one of the first Instagram guys on a lot of the covers of.
What were some of the things you learned about high ticket sales back then? If you can remember.
What were the big things? Because I hadn't changed my identity by then. I was like still shy, still reserved, still not the guy that I've become, but I was in my head, I'm like, I thought of a sales rep as like a car salesman or like a sleazy salesman. So I'm like, I hate being the role of a salesperson because I just don't agree with it. But then I started getting conviction in what I was selling and understanding how to give other people the tools throughout the conversation for them to actually reflect on a deeper level of what is it that's been like, if you continue to do what you're doing right now, what is it that's going to happen from that? And making a decision off that rather than how much is it or what do you do? What do I get? So just going through that emotional journey with someone on a phone call made me feel like I wasn't like, obviously I was convicted in what I was helping them with, but I was controlling something that I knew if I didn't go through those things, they wouldn't change their life either. So sales started to become this thing of like, I felt amazing doing it because I was solving people's problems that they probably wouldn't have solved otherwise, that we wouldn't have got to that point without a sales call.
Quick pause. If you're listening right now and you know you weren't built for an average income or a life stuck behind a desk, this is for you. we are hosting a 90-minute FDR masterclass live with me, where I break down exactly how to become a highly skilled finance development representative in the remote sales space. You'll see how top reps work US accounts close from home and position themselves to earn 6 figures remotely. Now, at the end of the masterclass, we'll invite attendees to apply to work with us directly. From there, we'll be selecting 30 people to move forward, where we'll provide elite training, hands-on support, and physical help to place you in roles on US accounts with a clear pathway to earn 6 figures while working from home. Now, this is not for everyone. It's for people who want freedom and are willing to do what it takes to actually earn it. Now, if that's you, I want you to comment in the comments freedom to register for the next masterclass, or head to the link in the bio right now. Okay, let's head back to the show. It's an incredible experience when you first start to get into sales and you start to understand those levers that you can sort of pull to help people really tap into the things that matter most to them. And when you can help someone get out of their own way, because everyone does. We've spent the last 30 minutes talking about limiting beliefs, glass ceilings, negative self-talk. I mean, this is all the things that people present with when they, despite the fact that they say they want change, there's so much that they still hold on to. So when you can learn how to walk someone through it, like a process of that type of discovery, and truly reflect, well, it's empowering and it feels amazing.
And there's just so many periods, like in just a really short time, from like that 26 years old to, I think the sales was like, I was 32 maybe. But I just kept like proving myself that I could do things. So
you were selling people at this point into your own offer?
Yeah.
And you kept doing, were you doing most of the sales at that point yourself?
All of them. It was only 2 weeks ago that I removed myself from full-time, eight calls a day.
From the sales aspect?
Yeah. So it took me, if you like.
Wow, so that was only just recent?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I've had a sales team. It's not just always been me on my own, but I just knew that my time was better spent on those calls compared to obviously the coaching. That's a low leverage thing that I can delegate. The VA stuff, the management, I could still do all of that stuff while taking the calls. And I was just so hungry for growing and success that I fucking got addicted to hard work. I just loved being in the trenches. And every time I took some time off with sales, like when we went over to Europe for our honeymoon, I felt like this void in my life, like something was missing. There's just all this time that I had that I'm like, I could be doing something. And my business wasn't so big that time could be spent elsewhere. Like I was still able to do everything else that I needed to do.
For a bit of context for the listeners, how much in total sales or revenue has your health offer already done?
We've done 3.6 in the last 12 months. So probably like 6 mil in the last 4 years.
So from being a kid that lacked purpose, struggled with a lack of identity, a lack of purpose, depression, drug addiction, to then building a health company, a fitness offer that's done over 6 million in revenue through about a 4-year period.
You know, the crazy thing is,
when you hear that, how does that make you feel?
This is what I was saying before. Like, there's not a 3-day period where me and Courtney, my wife, are not just pinching each other. Like me pinching myself more so, going, what the fuck? Like the house that we live in, I sit and look at my fucking Lambo out of my office every day.
I was going to say that. So, you know, I saw not long ago, it was probably about, I think 6 or 9 months ago, the house that you purchased, which is a beautiful home, was actually on the news. I think you were featured in some kind of article.
Yeah,
because of the style of home that it is. Like it's quite unique.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
And that was the power of our social media helped us get that over the line, because he was marketing his development company, and obviously us being in the limelight of the news, because it was already in the news. It was the most viewed house before we actually came across it. So he'd done really well with his marketing, but he was supposed to put it as an auction, and we got it the first open home. I offered him a price that he couldn't say no to, and I was like, we'll help you with your marketing. We'll get it on the news. I'll put it on social media, on our pages, on Courtney's page. and that got it over the line for us.
So he knew there was something in it for him on the back end, given his doing more developments. He wanted some additional exposure to his property.
Yeah.
Or to his business, what he's doing in terms of development. So your life is completely transformed. I mean, you've bought this fucking incredible home. You're driving a Lamborghini. I often laugh in a good way when I see, for example, you touring, you're out and about in your Lambo, and it's people stopping you, pulling you over. Often a dad with a kid, and the kid wants to get in because he's got like these googly eyes. He's like, oh, and he wants to get in, and you allow the kids to get in. I mean, there's obviously got to be something in you that must feel an incredible sense of pride, even in something, to allow someone else to experience that joy.
That's the joy of it. Like, I bought it because of how it makes me feel, but to see the kids thing is the thing that just like lights myself up. Seeing them, their eyes light up when I say, like, jump in if you want, like, turn it on, rev it, do whatever you want to do. They're just like, really? And their dad's like, oh my God, thank you so much. Like that feeling of, it's always been the thing that's driven me, is just helping people, making people feel good. Like, there's no better feeling, and I don't think that, I can't really explain it because not everyone's going to own a Lambo and be able to do it. But yeah, it's a feeling that I don't think I'll ever be able to let go of. And it's not like the novelty's worn off of owning the Lamborghini, but I don't think the novelty of that is ever going to wear off.
How do you describe then from who you were, if someone is in that situation where they're literally in their own version of rock bottom, because everyone's going to have their own version, but they want what you've already described, right? The house, the relationship, the recalibrated health, the business, the income, the car. They want all that. Like, how would you describe the transformation that's required in order to get to that point in their life?
I don't know. I don't think there's a roadmap for it. I think the biggest thing that I tell people is just like that uncomfortable feeling that you get in any time of your life, start looking forward to it, because the more that you lean into that and get on the other side of it, the more belief you'll instill inside of yourself to then do the next thing. And it's the same as business. Like, you'd know the amount of times that I feel like the business is going to crash and burn. There's this big problem that we have to solve. At the start, it would make me feel sick because of how far I'd come and thinking of not having that anymore. But now I've been through that so many times, and it doesn't stop. Business is just continual fires.
It's volatile.
It's volatile. And this is why
it's very nature.
This is why there's only a certain type of person that can do it, is because it's got such an up and down.
What type of person do you think it requires or it takes to be able to win in that style of business?
I think you just have to have you have to have a lot of those rock bottoms. You have to have experienced a lot of downtime in your life, I believe. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there's business owners that have had smooth sailing the whole way, but for me, it's the resilience that I've built through those times.
That exact word. Just knowing the journey myself. I mean, and in multiple businesses, if there was one word that I could use to describe, it's resilience, because it is going to be hard.
100%.
There is no doubt in my mind. I don't care what it is that you do, it is going to be hard. But here's the reality. The opposite of that is also hard.
Yep.
The life that you were living beforehand, where you never had enough, you were, basically begging at Centrelink, right? You were having to do things to survive because you're in survival mode, battling with addiction, depression. That is all hard in its own way, right? But equally, doing the work, as you said, leaning into the uncomfortable, challenging yourself to show yourself that you can and learn new skills and continue to push through, that is hard. Both are hard.
Yeah.
But one has a very different outcome to the other. And that's the thing that most people don't understand, is that they'll say, oh, but that's too hard. Like, going to do a university degree is hard. Yes, but working at Woolworths for the rest of your life is also hard. The difference is what you can get from it that eventually can give you a bit of relief, can give you a bit of joy, right?
Yeah.
And I love the idea where I love hearing the irony where people say money doesn't buy happiness. Let me ask you this question. Does money buy you happiness?
Man, it's like, I did a post about it this morning, I think, actually. Like, I've never been happier. And it's not just the money, but
I get it.
there's no stress in my life. I love what I do. I have the freedom to be able to travel wherever I want. I can buy myself whatever I want. Money drives happiness. Like, all of those things that people are unhappy about, the stress, there's no freedom, the not being able to get help with certain things, like, they can all be solved with money. And it's not, you still have to be happy within yourself, 100%.
Yeah, I would agree. Like, I just laugh at those posts. I just think it's a very convenient argument that people that don't have money use to justify their lack of having, right?
Yep.
And of course there's degrees of money, right?
Yeah.
And but I just love the irony in that, where people that don't have it say, "Oh, money doesn't buy you happiness." But, well, I've never seen a person that legitimately can do whatever they want, choose their day, and how they work, where they work from, who they spend time with, that isn't happy. Now, it doesn't necessarily give you purpose. There's something else beyond that.
Say, yeah.
But it gives you choice.
Yeah.
I think, and from my perspective, I mean, when you've got choice, then at least you can figure out what you are actually lit up by. 100%. So if you've got lots of money, and it means that you can travel and go spend time, for example, building wells in, I don't know, the Philippines or something, because that brings you joy to give and to bless people, then you could do that.
Yeah.
Like, rather than being stuck in traffic at a job that literally you hate to
That's
bits,
exactly right. Like, it's the external stuff, the job that you hate. If you have money and you're doing a business that you love, then that's happiness. It's not because of the money alone. It's because you're not doing something that you hate for the money. Exactly.
It's being a prisoner to a location, a prisoner to a job, a prisoner to your clock, because you have to be somewhere when you have to be there.
Yeah.
Doing something that you actually don't like, you feel is not really aligned anymore, or maybe it doesn't excite you, it's not challenging you, it's not part of your growth journey anymore. You've kind of capped out in that way, or tapped out in that way.
Yeah.
And so, I just find it hilarious when people say that money doesn't buy you happiness. But, mate, I'm pretty sure people with a lot of it, feel pretty good most mornings when they wake up and someone's serving them coffee. They don't have to be racing off to somewhere they don't want to be.
And a lot of the time when you don't have money, you make the decisions that you're making are the reasons that you're unhappy. Yeah. So it's not the immediate fact of not having money. It's the outcome of not having the money.
You're at a different point in your journey now, right? So you've built the health company, which is still going. You've learned the lessons through that, and you've done what you've done. You're now starting to look at different opportunities, and you, from what we've explored a bit about just in offline and that, getting into the B2B space. You're looking to help trainers basically achieve what you've achieved in your life. You're looking to help them do that.
Yeah.
And so what have you seen to be the difference? Like, just from a business perspective, what have you already noticed that's the difference between like a B2C offer, where it's helping consumers get in shape, versus an offer that you're building that is helping aspiring business owners create their own version of what you've built in freedom in their own way?
It's totally different feeling for me, but the biggest thing I'm noticing is, like, the people in B2C or the people in fitness, a lot of them, they start by saying that they want the thing, but then they don't put in the effort to do the thing. Whereas now that I'm working with B2B, I'm working with people between that 10 to 20K. So they're already proven that they want this bad enough. They've built something. So it's now, I'm just coming in helping them systemize things and get themselves out of being like that freelancer style of person that a lot of business owners get stuck doing. And they actually listen to what I'm doing. They have the motivation, they have the discipline, they have the resilience. They've got all the things, all the tools that they need. They just don't have the systems and the knowledge to get to that next level. So the difference is just, I'm still helping people. I still have a lot of passion for it. I still have a lot of experience that I'm helping deliver. But I feel like it's not easier, but it's like you're working with people that want it more. And I hate saying that, because I loved help. I still do. I love helping the fitness people, but a lot of you guys just don't want it bad enough. And let's go back to the hard. pick your hard. It's too hard to track my calories and macros. Well, how hard is it being fat? Like, it's the decision of the
people
person.
always choose what they want more. I heard Tony Robbins in a recent interview. In fact, it was the one with Hormozy. I'm not sure if you had a chance to listen to that, but I thought it was brilliant, and I'd probably go back and listen to it again. But he talked about push energy versus pull energy, right? Push energy being when I'm just going to kind of give it my own interpretation. Push energy being when you tell yourself that you have to do something and you're kind of trying to make something so, and you're having to use all your brute force. In other words, if you say, oh, you want to lose weight, but in fact, you're not pulled by anything that's actually tangible or real, then it's all push energy. And eventually you run out of that motivation. Motivation being fleeting, it's limited. It's not unlimited. It is something that we require initially in most things, but it actually at some point needs to turn into pull energy. And it's kind of like what you were describing about how hard business is. If you only are about push and there isn't something deeper on the back of that with legitimate purpose that's pulling you towards that thing, then you won't be able to overcome the adversity. So what you're probably experiencing is the push energy in weight loss in the arena that you play just isn't big enough, it's not deep enough, right? So when the motivation
100%.
dries up, they go back to what they were doing, they fall off the bandwagon and you never hear from them again. The business owner, though, it's a different one. It's interesting because I think the pain is actually more real.
Yeah.
The pain of not being able to go to the grocery store and just get whatever you want. The pain of having your partner call you to ask you if there's money on the credit card. The pain of delaying a holiday with your children because A, either you're stuck in a job or B, you can't afford to. Of saying no to your child, the pain of that is so much more real and greater that it creates a stronger sense of purpose and a real strong pull energy for those that really latch onto it. I love the B2B space. It's something I'm just as well, getting into. And I've built two very different companies already. So like, my health offer, similar to what you did. We help people solve huge problems, not just about weight loss. I mean, we help people identify cardiac risk and prevent heart attacks. But yet you would be, maybe you're not amazed by it, but like what I mean by that is how many people still don't follow through.
100%.
Irrespective of how severe their situation is, they still focus on the wrong things and they're still all in push energy, right?
It's sad.
It's sad. Yeah, it's really sad. But what I've noticed in the short period of time that I'm now in the B2B space and we're dealing with individuals who want to create more wealth in their life, there's, for most of them that I've already had the privilege of spending time with and coaching through what we're doing, there's a lot of pull energy.
100%.
And you can see them ready to go through the fire, to walk over the coals, to walk through a wall in order to get what they want on the other side.
And I guess it's the same in fitness. Like I've got a few close friends that coach different niches and
within fitness
and not so much the beginner gen pop people, like people who have already been training for a while and they're probably feeling the same as what I'm talking about with the B2B because that person's already showing that they're driven, they've got discipline, they just want to take it from level 5 to level 6. So I think it's the same as like what you're talking about and what we're doing with the B2B space is that if we did work with the beginners that didn't have a business, it probably would be the same as the beginner fitness as well because they've just come into this thing and they've seen this shiny object that they're like, fuck, that looks amazing. Oh, it takes work. I'm not going to do it. So I feel like it's just having that experience is the thing that I needed to make sure because I did have a few people that were just starting out in the B2B space that didn't have a business yet. They weren't established and it's a lot harder.
That would be challenging.
Very challenging.
The problem with that, they've got no context.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. They don't know what hard work is. They don't know what it's going to take to get there.
I always tell people that I'm coaching and helping that it's going to take twice as long. It's going to cost you twice as much. There's going to be twice as much heartache just to begin with.
Yeah, because then if it's quicker, makes you look good.
Well, if it is, then so be it, right?
Yeah.
But if you go in with the wrong perception, then you're setting yourself up in many ways to feel like a failure when you're not failing because my version of failure is people that don't actually start. because then you're already failing.
Yeah.
So often when we come to that point of decision where we want to change our situation, right, there's always that question in mind, what if this doesn't work? What if it fails? Well, here's the reality. Are you succeeding right now?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, no. Okay, so what's the best case?
Yeah. You try it.
You try, you learn some things. What's the worst case?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I get a little more advanced than I am now. At least I've learned a few different things. Okay.
Yeah.
So you feel that's kind of better than not trying?
Yeah.
Okay. So that's the fascinating thing about like that part of the journey. It's always going to take twice as long, cost you twice as much, twice as much effort, just to begin with in the beginning. And then, of course, that continues to change as time goes on. The incredible thing about the business landscape is that it's ever shifting. I don't think anyone can truly ever prepare you for it. So often when what actually scares me most, you know what actually scares me most is, and this is fucking fascinating, when things are going well.
Me too. Because you get too used to it, you get too comfortable, but then you know,
do you know
that
that week where, the week, happening. Right? The week where you've hit a record, you've done some great numbers, team's pumped, energy's great, culture's awesome, sales are coming in, marketing's dialed in, everything is just like, mate, it's like your Lambo when you turn it on, right? Everything's like that.
Yeah.
When that moment
calm
hits,
before the storm. It's
almost like I pause and I go, uh-oh.
What's going to happen? Yeah.
What's going to happen? Because 100%. I've just had so many experiences. But it's not to, some might listen to that and think, oh, but that's like a negative kind of manifestation. No, it's not. It's called productive paranoia. Productive paranoia is actually a concept that I learned from a book called Good to Great by a guy called Jim Collins. And he talks about the idea that those that go on to build incredible businesses, I'm talking big multinational and businesses that change not just the world for their customer, but change the way people interact and the way the world works, right?
Yeah.
Operate with this productive paranoia. They're always thinking, what's going to change, whether it be market conditions, new competitors, all the market forces, economic factors, all those things that are going to impact the business, and it could happen so quick.
Yeah, but
so they have this productive paranoia that they're always thinking, all right, so what are the potential risk factors? What can I not see? What should I be prepared for? What do I need to be looking at? And that's what 100%. Happens in the B2B space.
And I think, like I was talking about before, the more you go through those times where the storm hits. And
you build that resilience.
Yeah, 100%. You just get so much better at being not emotionless, but like way more level-headed. So now that I've gone through so many of those periods where it is fucking amazing and then it's absolute torture, every time I am up or I am down, I'm still pretty level now. I've learned how to sort of keep it level and not get too excited or not get too
excited.
Yeah.
It's interesting, what you've described there, I think is so powerful because what you've talked about there is pragmatism. It's just like the practicality of the process, and it's kind of this neutral state that we operate in. And previous guests that have been on the show that are very successful individuals have talked about that exact same thing, and they've learnt the lesson where they've ridden the highs, as we do, right? Some weeks we ride the highs and we get, it's not that we shouldn't celebrate. I'm not suggesting we shouldn't, but there's this thing where if you haven't experienced it, you wouldn't know yet, but like where you celebrate in a sense where you've kind of done this huge, big thing, right? And then you hit the low, and it's experiencing the high that leads to a low that sometimes if you're not ready for, it's really hard to actually gather the strength and focus again to pull yourself out. And so it's that neutrality, it's that neutral ground that you can operate in, even in the peaks even in the lows where you're actually detached emotionally. It's not that you're not an emotional being.
Yeah.
It's not that you're robotic. I mean, Hormozi talks about this a lot. In fact, it was something he alluded to in that last podcast, but it's that neutral ground where you just look at the facts, you look at the data, and you try not to be affected either way and just keep doing what you need to do with just like laser focus on what the process is.
Yeah, 100%.
It's when we're focused on the outcome, like the result, that we achieve these emotional peaks and valleys, and the valleys are dangerous because whatever goes up comes down, right?
Yeah.
But it's that neutral ground where you can just zero in on the process. Like, what have I got to do today? That's it.
And that's data is a big thing that I've learned a lot about, and that's what's kept me very level over times is just
tracking
watching
the marketing,
just watching
data,
the data and not making a decision off anything else. Like, the excitement of thinking, fuck, we're on this trajectory. If we do that again, what we did last month, next month, we're going to be here. And it's like, the data's not saying that yet. So don't get excited about it yet. And again, what I was saying before about what kind of person it takes to be a business owner. And I said that you have to have gone through shit in your life. That's also helping with keeping your level, because you go through those highs and those massive lows.
It's just part of the territory.
Yeah, you have to have that up and down experience to learn how to level it out.
What are some of the most important things then that you teach these aspiring business owners in order for them to succeed?
Data is a big part of it, but like just...
What data specifically are you talking about?
Well, everything. Like, I think they need to know their sales numbers, their close rates, their show rates, their lead to bookings, their cash collection, their like everything to do with sales, everything to do with marketing, everything to do with fulfillment.
Yeah.
Fulfillment. Those are the three areas that they have to be very closely tracked. And I'm still finding new things that I should be tracking that I should have been tracking a while ago.
And there are those that are more important and there's those that are less important. I always say there's data and there's data. For me, there's lead indicators and there's lag indicators.
Yeah, for sure.
So lag indicators are the things like your P&L, which is absolutely important. Knowing how to read a P&L, knowing how to understand your numbers in those are very important, but those are lag indicators. You're talking a lot about lead indicators, the things that happen before. Yeah. And so they are, from a marketing perspective, like all the stuff that you see in your meta ads, could be some stuff to do with socials as well. Some of the videos that are going viral, the hooks that are working, the hooks that are not working, that's all data. Then it's the ads themselves, how they're performing. It could be then campaigns and funnels, landing pages, conversion metrics, OTOs, downsells, the LTV on the customer.
LTV is a big one.
It could be then you're looking at, for example, what you spoke about from a sale perspective. So many people focus on a close rate, but there's so many other things that matter.
Yeah, right? For sure.
What are some of the things you focus on most when it comes to sales then?
I used to focus heavily on close rate, but...
It's the easiest one to think about, but it's very limited.
Yeah, because obviously it comes down to how easily you're letting these people through the gate, how much you're charging. Like, all of those things are playing a role in how good your close rate is. And at the end of the day, like, I think the biggest thing that I've learned is you don't want too high of a close rate, because it means you're probably not charging enough. So I was always trying to get like above 50, 60, 70% close rate. But I feel like if you charged a bit more and had a lower close rate, you deal with less on the back end. You don't have to deal with as many clients coming through.
It's a hard lesson, isn't it?
A massively hard lesson.
The lower your price, the more it suggests to the customer that it actually isn't very much probably a high value product.
Yeah, exactly. And the quality of people, the commitment of those people, and what you're actually going to put into those people. So that's probably one of the biggest things that I am teaching these B2B people is like, you're worth more.
We're currently putting together a 100K offer in our new business.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you why. Years ago, I heard this statement, which I still believe to be true, which was, when you have a customer that will pay you $50, their level of expectation is going to be a lot. What they're going to say when you tell them it's $50 is, what do I get?
Yep.
When you solve a bigger problem for the rich and you speak to the problem and the transformation, and you have something that legitimately solves a problem that's worth $100,000, that rich individual asks, where do I pay?
Yeah, 100%.
So it's a very different type of individual that you attract purely by how you look at, what problem am I solving? Who am I solving it for? How am I positioning this product? And how am I communicating its value, basically, right? And so right now, actually, as this week, we've nailed what is an 11K offer, which we believe actually to be worth more, but we're very happy sort of starting there. We're currently building a 100K offer, but for that reason, because we know, well, who do we want to attract? What problem do we want to solve? Who do we want to attract? And then how do we want to position, in other words, where they feel like that's cheap based on the problem we solve? And I've learned years ago, like that the lower your price, the more problems you have.
Yeah, 100%. And it's the hardest thing to get through to people. Like so many people are like, yeah, but like they're not going to pay me then. And it's like maybe the ones that are a nightmare.
That is the problem, isn't it?
That they're not going to pay.
Well, no, that they think they're not going to pay.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what I say. Like, yes, you will get those people that were going to be an absolute headache anyway, not paying you. But they're the ones who's failed payments. They're the people you don't want to work with them.
No.
You want to work with people who actually are ready to commit the financial side of things, commit themselves.
Get the work done.
They don't expect the world from you. Like bodybuilders, tough gig to work with because
why do you feel they're so tough to work with?
Because they want so much more for their money. Whereas
You're the type of person that will ask, what do I get?
Yeah, because they're not driven by the pain of death or like it's not a health related thing. It's like I just want to be a bodybuilder. So when you're working with someone who's like they're being told by their doctor they've got high blood pressure, their bloods are fucked, all the things that they have to do something about, they're way more convicted. They're going to spend more money on it. They're going to give it more of their time and effort. Like it's just the quality of the people that you get is going to be based on the amount that they pay.
So how would you describe then what problem it is now that you're solving for these aspiring business owners?
Removing themselves out of the business to work on the business.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's my favorite thing.
So often business owners, and these people get into business because they want freedom, but they end up creating themselves a very nice little jail.
Oh, they're just literally prison. They're in prison and they're doing all these things that they end up hating.
They buy themselves
They've gone from this passion that they loved to this prison that they hate. And they're not going back to the 9 to 5, but.
So you're helping solve the problem, removing themselves and automating things and creating I suppose a leadership team, implementing systems and processes to be able to then exit a little bit so they can work on their business and not necessarily in their business all the time. That gives them a bit more freedom.
Yeah. And I feel like that's what I'm really good at. Like I'm not super smart at like the back end of business when it comes to skill set. I'm just really good at building teams, networking with the right people, pulling the right levers, making the right decisions.
Sounds like you turned your weakness into your strength.
100%. 100%.
Given you mentioned earlier that you struggle with people, now you're describing this new you.
My favorite thing is people.
This new you now being great with people, teams.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
It's like my people who work for me in my fitness business, it's the best back-end environment that I could ask for. They love what they're doing. They love the people that they're working with as far as the clients, but they also love the team they're working with, the environment back there. And they tell me all the time, they're like, it's just amazing. I've never worked in a business that's been so, like I look forward to it.
Well, that should make you proud.
Exactly. And I'm like, that's, like you just said, that was my weakness. I used to tell myself I was bad at that. So now I have made it my strength. That's what I want to help people. Like I was shit at this. I'll show you guys how I went from that to now being able to do that.
I love how that in itself shows anyone that would create their own glass ceiling how it's possible. And not to diminish what you've done, but like when you describe sort of who you were, like if you could do it.
100%.
Like
if I can do it, anyone can do it.
They can do, right?
Yeah.
That's how I look at it as well. Like, I would say the same thing about myself,
yeah.
Right? In every way.
Yeah.
So how would you describe then what it is that you stand for and perhaps what you fight against?
I think I just stand for getting uncomfortable as you possibly can, putting yourself in situations where you have no choice but to make things work, because that's going to create belief. And if you don't have belief in yourself, then you're just going to stay where you are. And that's, again, your environment that you're around, the network that you have. As they say, you surround yourself with 5 millionaires, you accidentally become the 6th millionaire. So surround yourself with 5 drop kicks, you are accidentally the 6th drop kick. So get yourself out of what has sucked you into the negative stuff. As hard as it is, it's uncomfortable, but lean into that uncomfort. Learn more about yourself. Stop being comfortable with just knowing what you know about who you are. And then what was the next thing you said?
What do you fight against?
I don't know. It's a good question.
What revs you up?
I I think how soft people are is a big thing that revs me up. Just how everyone's like feeling sorry for people's situations in the way of saying it's okay, you don't have to change, or like, again, it goes back to what I've just said about getting uncomfortable and getting away from those people that are pulling you down, and get around people that are going to lift you up.
If there was someone listening that's struggling very much in a way that you were those years ago, battling because their environment's shit, drug addicted, maybe selling drugs too, depressed, out of shape, lacking purpose, what would you say to them?
Well, this is to a whole bunch of people that I'm still friends with back home, that you need to get out of that environment. Like, that is the only way. And I have arguments with people about this all the time. Like, you have something against Nambucca. It's like, it's not Nambucca. It's just that I know how sheltered my life was and how that ceiling was just created in my head based on that. There's no one in those environments that stay where they are and get out of it. They have to remove themselves. Maybe they go back to living in their old town, but I think people need to just completely start from scratch with a new location, a new friends group, a new network, and you'll create new opportunities. If you don't have that, opportunities stay what they are. So I think you just need to remove yourself from the people that are dragging you down.
Love it. Thank you for being on the Freedom Formula.
No worries. Thanks for having me.